Hello, I am Angie Gallagher, and I am a functional medicine wellness coach and exercise physiologist. And I went through the Metabolic Reset Program because I really wanted to get over some of my own issues around food cravings and some habits that I had with food and with wine that I didn't think were very healthy. And I felt like I needed some kind of a structured program to help me address those things. So being an exercise physiologist, I'm very into fitness and I'm a big runner. And I was a little reluctant in going into it because I didn't feel like I needed to address any weight issues. And that's a big part of why a lot of people do it, is because it is a very successful program for people who want to lose weight. So I was a little reluctant in the beginning, and I'm so glad that I got over that and I went through the program because it was so valuable to me on so many levels. Going into it, I definitely felt like I had higher levels of anxiety and poorly managed stress. So I went into it feeling like I needed a glass of wine every night, and I needed the comfort of having my fancy cheeses and crackers. And so I was a 7-day-a-week wine drinker. It wasn't excessive, but it was every day. And I would also have my fancy cheese and crackers. And sometimes the caloric content of my wine and cheese and crackers was probably a meal, but I would still eat dinner afterwards. So though I didn't have quote unquote weight issues, I definitely was at the higher end of what's comfortable for me, but I justified it because I felt like I needed those comforts every day. I also had a pretty big sweet tooth, and I had to start in my previous job, I had to start very early in the morning, and I would always have chocolate. And so I'd have chocolate with my coffee, and that was every morning kind of a ritual, was to have chocolate with my coffee to just help give me some morning energy. So very much relying on food and wine just to kind of cope. So I went through the reset, and it was one of the best things I've ever done for my health, honestly. So while I was going through it, I won't say that it was an easy thing to do, because I was giving up things that were very habitual and very comforting. So I had to have a really strong mindset of why I was doing it. And I had to find ways to distract myself. So I started getting back into songwriting. I have a guitar and I write songs, and so when I would find myself kind of idle, I would either get back to that, or I also make jewelry, and I could kind of just distract myself with my jewelry. Also building a business, so that took some time and energy. But one of the things I really noticed was if I was structured with my meals and I had plenty, I had the right amount of protein, and I sat down and didn't multitask through my meals, if I actually made a nice meal, sat down, enjoyed it without distraction, chewed my food well, made my experience last, by the time I was done with that meal, I was full. I was fine. And I didn't feel like I needed to have anything sweet afterward because I had the fruit with the meal. And I felt completely satiated. I was totally fine. In the evenings, I started drinking a lot of herbal tea. So I started just trying some different flavor blends, and I started making my own herbal tea and finding recipes for different blends. And that was really fun. And that was a great way to just kind of have a little something to sip on and a kind of a nice flavor in my mouth, instead of having to have wine or chocolate for dessert. So I found some strategies in those ways, and just making sure that I was prepared. So I would go onto Pinterest and find recipes that would fit with the release phase, and I would pre-cook. I would make enough chicken for 2 or 3 or 4 meals. I'd roast a big pan of veggies and have those for 2 or 3 different meals. So I would always, I felt like I was always prepared. And if I felt snacky, if I really felt like, oh, I just need something, I had jicama and cucumbers and celery and bell peppers. So sometimes I would just chop up a bunch of those veggies and put them on a plate and then sprinkle that tahini seasoning on them and just munch on those. Another thing I've recently discovered is using my air fryer and doing like air fried broccoli and cauliflower. Those can be kind of yummy little snacks with a little truffle salt on them. So lots of ways to satisfy when you feel like you do need a little something in between meals. I felt great the whole time I was on the reset. I actually kept up with my running program, so I had to do some slight tweaks to it, but I felt great. I felt energetic. My digestion improved. I didn't have any bloating. I actually noticed, like, even though I didn't have a lot of weight to lose, I noticed that my stomach, my whole abdominal area was flatter because I wasn't bloating. There was, no more bloating, no issues with gas. I mean, things just like everything moved really good and very regularly. Like I just felt like my digestion and eliminations were just really regular and really healthy. My running actually got faster. I run with several other women most of them are significantly younger than me, and I was beating them to the tops of the hills. I was doing, really long runs and not needing to refuel as much as other people. I'd run with people who were carrying extra weight, like carrying more weight than me, and yet they were needing to stop more often to eat, even though they had more stored energy on their body. My metabolism just became very flexible. I became very metabolically flexible, which is a really important thing for longevity. So it really just enhanced my running. I tracked my Oura Ring stats, and I noticed that my deep sleep was quite a bit better while I was doing the program. And even now, when I follow the basic tenets of it, my deep sleep is better. My blood sugars, I check my blood sugars every morning. My blood sugars were better, and they just trended much better on the program. What else? Skin, I think my skin actually looked better. So I just feel like there were so many benefits. And then by the time I was done with the program, I no longer had the cravings that I used to have. I didn't need the wine and the cheese anymore. In fact, now there are some days where I think, I'm gonna have a little, and then I have some and I don't feel very good. And then it's just like, well, that really wasn't even worth it. So I feel like my body craves the things that are good for it now. Like the things that I crave, like if I want something to eat, I want some apples or just like some nuts, but I don't want processed foods. I don't crave crackers anymore. I really don't crave wine. I mean, I enjoy it every once in a while, but I don't need it at all like I used to. So that's been a huge blessing for me, is just like getting completely over those. Now I intermittent fast, and so I don't get up in the morning and have chocolate with my coffee. I basically don't have any breakfast and don't eat until usually 11 or 12, and I'm fine the whole morning just having my coffee. I do put a little bit of A2 cream in it, so but it's just minimal, and I feel fine. I feel awake and energetic. I do notice that if I don't stick to my meal plan, if I wait too long to eat, that I do start to lose steam. I start to get really sleepy, and my eyes start to get a little foggy, and so I have to really make sure that I do stick to my 2 meals a day and don't put those off. So yeah, I would say all in all, it was just a fantastic experience, and I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about, when I brought foods back in, I learned like there are certain types of beans that don't work for me. Like when I eat those now, I feel immediately bloated. I have digestive issues. So I've learned like, okay, those need to be things that are very rare. I don't have lentil soup as often anymore because the lentils react. I react to them. And so it's been really helpful to learn that. And it's fine. Like I can have lentils once in a while, but I don't have them as often, and that's fine. I feel better eating white beans. I've learned that white beans my body tolerates those better. So you learn a lot about how your body specifically reacts to certain foods, and you learn what you feel good on, and you learn what you don't feel so good on. And if you're having a reaction to something, then that's creating inflammation, and that's what we're trying to minimize and reduce for long-term health. So if you are considering doing this program, I think you will only benefit from doing it. And what you learn, you can't unlearn. These are lessons that you will take with you for the rest of your life. You spend 6 weeks really in your body, really feeling all the feels, and you overcome a lot of things I think a lot of people think they'll never really overcome, and you do. You get over those cravings. Your body begins to tell you what it wants, and you want the things that are good for you. And you feel so much better. And then you get to take that with you for life. It's like you get the next however many years ahead of you, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years more of feeling good and not sort of being a slave to these cravings. So I would wholeheartedly recommend that you go through the program and learn all of these really important things and experience it and gain benefit for life. So I hope that is helpful, and wish you all the best with your own metabolic reset. Bye-bye.